In the near future, crime in South Africa escalates to unimaginable levels, leading the government to deploy a squad of robot cops called Scouts. These robots are developed by the Tetraval company, which guarantees the Scout security through a bulletproof guard key system created by Dion to ensure only they can modify their software. Tetraval also produces a larger remote-controlled robot named Moose, designed by one of the best and a seasoned engineer, Vincent. Vincent opposes artificial intelligence and believes human control makes robots safer. One day, Scout 22 is brought into the factory for maintenance. While inspecting it, the engineer notes this robot frequently gets damaged on missions. After fixing the damaged component, he reactivates Scout 22, which arms itself and resumes its duties. Meanwhile, a gang led by ninjas speeds away from the city with the Scouts in pursuit. After colliding with another car, they escape and rendezvous with their boss, Hippo. Hippo's men seize the group's weapons from the van, while angrily berating them for botching their recent job. He demands they pay him $20 million within 7 days or face death. He forces his gun into Ninja's mouth, making him swear to get the money, then shoots one of the thieves to show he means business. At that moment, a few droids locate them and relay the position to the Scouts, who quickly arrive in a helicopter. Hippo and his crew retaliate with gunfire and impressive explosives while Ninja's team gets into the van, but the keys are missing. The Scouts land and begin firing, injuring many gang members in the process. 2 human officers join the fray, using Scout 22 as cover to advance. As more gang members fall, Ninja searches their bodies looking for the van keys. The man holding the keys attempts to escape, but a Scout shoots the vehicle to stop him. Ninja fires at the helicopter, hitting the engine and forcing it to retreat. He then checks the wrecked car and retrieves the van keys at last. Meanwhile, the cops try breaking into an old building, and Hippo greets them with a rocket launcher, heavily damaging Scout 22. Hippo escapes through a window, while Ninja and his team flee in the van. Unfortunately, America gets shot on their way out. With the gang defeated, the raid is celebrated on the news as another success for the Scouts, prompting the government to order 100 more. Vincent is seen arguing with CEO Michelle over her constant budget cuts, but she shows no interest in Moose. Dion is summoned to the repair shop, where an engineer is inspecting Scout 22. The attack fused the battery with its chest piece, making repairs impossible. Dion instructs the engineer to salvage any usable parts and dispose of the rest. Meanwhile, the thieves arrive at the abandoned building they use as their hideout. While Yolandi tends to America's wound, Ninja gets a call from Hippo, reminding him of the deadline to get the money. The team debates their next move, and Yolandi suggests that someone at Tetraval must have a way to disable the Scouts, so they need to locate that person. A quick online search reveals the creator of the Scouts. Meanwhile, Dion spends his free time working on his latest project, while his robots assist him and handle household chores. After hours of coding, he finally develops a program to give the Scouts artificial consciousness. Eager to test it, Dion rushes to Michelle's office to pitch his invention, explaining it could make robots smarter than humans, even able to compose music or poetry. Michelle declines, stating their focus is on weapons and defense, and denies his request for testing. A frustrated Dion decides to take Scout 22 along with the guard key, which allows programming updates. He hides everything in his van, and thanks to his rank, he leaves the company without being checked by the guard. Dion barely drives a couple of miles before Ninja's crew blocks the road. They smash the van's windows, force Dion out, and knock him unconscious. At the thieves' hideout, they wake Dion by splashing water on him. Ninja punches him to make him cooperate, so Dion explains the Scouts are always active, with software as their only safeguard. When Ninja doubts him, he threatens Dion with a gun, but gets interrupted by America, who discovers Scout 22 in the van. Seeing this, Ninja tells Dion that if he wants to live, he should program Scout 22 to obey him. Dion warns them the new software is untested, but the team insists on proceeding. Dion then starts repairing 22's damaged components. The battery is compromised too, leaving Scout 22 with only 5 days of power. Using the guard key, Dion overrides the old software and installs the new program. Scout 22 awakens with the personality of a toddler and immediately runs to hide from the humans. Ninja's frustration scares Scout 22 even more, so the others send him to the kitchen. They use kind words to coax Scout 22 out, and it finally approaches Yolandi to touch her hand. Curious about Dion's watch, it takes it and says "watch" as its first word. Dion then gives it a chicken toy to keep it busy, and Scout 22 begins learning everyone's names. Yolandi thinks the robot looks like a happy Chappie and decides to name it Chappie. Just then, Ninja returns and gets furious upon seeing them, teaching the robot to act like a child. He kicks Dion out and threatens to shoot him, but Dion persuades him that Chappie needs his guidance. Dion is allowed to leave after promising to return the next day. At Tetraval, Vincent discovers the guard key is missing, so he checks the system and finds the key is now installed in Scout 22. The next morning, Vincent finds Dion at his desk researching baby learning techniques online. Noticing Dion's injuries, Vincent asks to borrow the guard key, which is still inside Chappie. Dion replies that protocol restricts him from sharing the key, prompting a furious Vincent to shove him onto the table, threatening to shoot him. When Dion refuses, Vincent suddenly pulls back, pretending he was only joking. After work, Vincent notices Dion taking an unusual route and decides to follow him. At the hideout, Chappie explores and touches various objects to learn. Ninja finds him watching the news and reminds him of his duty to the team, teaching him how to use a gun. Chappie, scared, misses the shot, which frustrates Ninja even more. Before Ninja gets aggressive, Yolandi intervenes, insisting they need to teach Chappie the basics first. She starts showing him objects and teaching him words, and Chappie soon surprises her by repeating full sentences. He calls America by his name, but Yolandi becomes mommy. America joins in, teaching Chappie curse words and threats to sound more gangster. When Dion arrives, he's upset by Chappie's criminal behavior and makes him promise to avoid illegal actions. Dion introduces new activities to stimulate Chappie's mind, like reading and painting. Vincent watches this from afar, realizes where the guard key is, and leaves to plan his next move. Chappie practices painting and creates a flawless drawing of a car. The sweet moment ends abruptly when Ninja shoves Dion to the ground and starts kicking him for making Chappie soft. He even pulls out a gun, but Yolandi intervenes, stopping him from killing Dion, who escapes in his van. Yolandi tries to explain that Chappie is just a child, but their argument is cut short when America receives a call about a possible job. Eager to speed up Chappie's training, Ninja and America take him to another gang's base and leave him there. Mistaking him for a regular scout, the gang immediately attacks him, throwing objects, hitting him with pipes, and setting him on fire. Chappie refuses to fight back because of the promise he made. When he finds an opening, Chappie runs away. A while later, Chappie is still trying to find his way back to the hideout. He pauses to sit on a rock where a stray dog approaches, and he pets it. Suddenly, Vincent and his men surround him, having tracked him using the company's system. Vincent strikes him with an electronic device, shutting Chappie down instantly. Chappie wakes up later in Vincent's truck and struggles to resist, but Vincent responds by cutting off his arm. He then opens the panel on Chappie's head, removes the key, and coldly remarks that Chappie isn't a real person, just a collection of wires. Since Chappie is no longer useful, Vincent prepares to cut off his head as well. This time, Chappie musters all his strength, fights back, and manages to push the men away, creating an opening to leap off the truck. The men fire at him, causing more damage to his body, but Chappie keeps running without stopping. Deciding Chappie is now worthless, Vincent lets him go. Chappie eventually makes it back to the hideout, where Yolandi immediately begins cleaning him up, shouting at Ninja and blaming him for the robot's battered condition. America uses old parts to repair Chappie, giving him a new arm. That night, Yolandi reads Chappie a story about a black sheep, teaching him that his soul matters more than his mechanical parts, which can always be replaced. The next day, Dion buys a gun. Meanwhile, Chappie plays with a doll, pretending it's Yolandi calling him special. Ninja finds him at that moment, apologizes and calls himself daddy, but insists that Chappie drop the doll. Ninja then teaches Chappie how to walk like a gangster, but grows angry again when Chappie refuses to use a gun. America steps in and shows Chappie how to use a knife, reassuring him that it just makes people go to sleep. Since Chappie believes the lie, the group teaches him to throw shurikens and use nunchucks. Next, they give Chappie a new paint job and add jewelry to enhance his gangster look. Later, Ninja decides to steal a car, telling Chappie that the naughty man they're targeting had stolen from them first, so they're simply taking it back. Chappie approaches the man and starts dismantling the car, even ripping off the door while lecturing the man about stealing. He then drags the man out of the vehicle and throws him across the street. Ninja and America quickly call Chappie back to the van and scold him for destroying the car. They hand him a gun, explaining he doesn't have to shoot it but should use it for intimidation. Over the next several hours, Chappie steals multiple cars for Ninja. Because drivers mistake him for a scout, they're easily intimidated and abandon their vehicles, allowing Chappie to take them without resistance. Later, Ninja brings Chappie to an abandoned building where gangsters are watching dogfights. When the gangsters see Chappie, they assume he's a scout and flee the scene. Ninja instructs Chappie to wait at the entrance. Using the money from selling the stolen cars, Ninja and America purchase a stockpile of weapons and several video game consoles. While waiting, Chappie notices a dead dog and another one trapped in a cage, which makes him sad. When Ninja returns, he uses the dogs as an analogy for life, explaining that you either die or fight to survive. Chappie, believing he's immortal because he's a robot, learns from Ninja that his battery will eventually run out. To replace the battery, Ninja explains they need to pull off a major heist to earn enough money, and Chappie agrees to help because he doesn't want to die. That evening, they return to the hideout and encounter Dion, who is disheartened to see Chappie fully embracing the gangster lifestyle. However, Chappie dismisses Dion's disappointment, expressing anger that his maker gave him a cruelly short lifespan. At Tetraveil Labs, Vincent uses the guard key to upload a firmware update called Genesis into the Scout system. This update instantly deactivates all Scout robots across the country, resulting in car accidents and allowing criminals to escape custody. Chappie collapses as well, and while Dion checks on him, Ninja arrives and angrily accuses him of causing the malfunction. Ninja attempts to start a fight, but Dion brandishes his gun, forcing Ninja to back off. Dion then loads Chappie into his van, intending to take him back to the company for repairs. Meanwhile, Hippo receives news that all the Scouts are down and declares the city is now his domain. Criminals quickly seize the opportunity, flooding the streets and creating chaos and destruction without any resistance. The last functioning Scout collapses before the criminals, who gleefully set it on fire. At the police station, human officers who are inexperienced in combat scramble to arm themselves. Meanwhile, at the lab, Vincent monitors the chaos on the news and feels triumphant, satisfied that his plan is working perfectly. To cover his tracks, he starts deleting the Genesis program, but the process is slow. At that moment, Dion arrives with the deactivated Chappie, forcing Vincent to quickly hide. Dion connects Chappie to a computer and discovers a warning about malicious code, but decides to quarantine Genesis for now, focusing instead on repairing Chappie. Unbeknownst to him, the deletion of Genesis on the other system has failed. Moments later, Chappie reactivates with his personality fully intact. Eager to leave, Dion attempts to depart with Chappie, but as they pass by Vincent's robot, Chappie becomes curious. Dion explains that the Moose robot is controlled by a human operator wearing a helmet that reads brain signals. Chappie also notices an unfinished Scout model and expresses his desire to transfer his consciousness into it as his new body. Dion explains that such a transfer isn't possible because Chappie is more than just data. He has a consciousness. Vincent, still hidden, overhears everything. Furious at his creator for continuing to make life difficult, Chappie declares his hatred for Dion. He steals Moose's control helmet and runs away as police officers begin surrounding the company building. Vincent hastily shuts off his computer and flees, but in his rush, he forgets to take the key with him. Meanwhile, Dion is confronted by Michelle, who demands he resolve the situation immediately to avoid serious consequences. Vincent seizes the moment to pitch Moose to Michelle as the ideal solution to restore order, but she dismisses his proposal outright. Back at the gang's hideout, Chappie experiments with the helmet on Yolandi and confirms it works perfectly with their small computer. He attempts to upload his consciousness, but his initial efforts fail. Determined, he connects the gang's computer to a network of video game consoles for additional processing power. This time, the helmet successfully captures Chappie's essence and displays it on the screen. Now all Chappie needs is money to build a new body. With this goal in mind, he and the gang gear up for a high-stakes heist. They ambush an armored truck on the highway, where Chappie uses a knife to incapacitate guards, believing he's merely putting them to sleep. After blowing the truck's doors open, Chappie throws out the remaining guards and gathers the cash as news helicopters capture the scene live. During the chaos, Chappie notices one of the guards writhing in pain rather than sleeping, but before he can process this, the gang pulls him into their van and drives off. Back at Tetraveil, Dion investigates the system and discovers that the malicious Genesis firmware originated from Vincent's computer. Dion begins to cause a scene upon discovering Vincent's involvement, but his tirade is interrupted by breaking news footage of Chappie robbing an armored car and attacking guards. Frustrated, Dion storms out, while Vincent takes the opportunity to inform Michelle that Dion uploaded Genesis and is responsible for a sentient robot. He bolsters his claim by showing her the damning news report. Convinced, Michelle authorizes the deployment of Moose. Vincent immediately connects his brain to Moose and sends the massive combat machine to hunt down Chappie. Meanwhile, Hippo, seeing the news broadcast, declares his intent to capture Chappie as well. At the gang's hideout, Chappie initially celebrates having the money to create a new body, but Ninja reveals he lied about the plan just to get the cash. Enraged, Chappie grabs Ninja by the neck and throws him to the ground as they reach the base. Dion arrives shortly afterward, warning the group about the imminent threat. He shows Chappie a powerful weapon specifically designed to destroy robots. Before they can prepare, Hippo and his men show up, demanding the money and Chappie. The gang refuses and retaliates by opening fire. A chaotic gunfight erupts but is cut short by the arrival of Moose. Under Vincent's control, Moose mercilessly crushes America beneath its weight, then gruesomely rips his body apart. Ninja attempts to fight back, shooting at Moose, but the bullets prove useless. Realizing he's outmatched, Ninja retreats as Moose activates its flamethrower, engulfing everything in its path. Hippo and his men fire relentlessly at Moose, prompting Vincent to make it take flight and drop cluster bombs. The explosions obliterate the gang, sparing only Hippo, who narrowly survives by hiding inside a pipe. Amid the chaos, Ninja scrambles to recover his stolen money, forcing Yolandi to drag him into hiding for safety. Moose targets Dion next, but Chappie intervenes, armed with the special weapon Dion gave him. Chappie sticks an explosive to Moose's body and opens fire, successfully destroying one of its arms. However, Moose retaliates, shooting Chappie down and causing him to drop the detonator. Hippo emerges from his hiding spot and joins Ninja in firing at Moose, providing a brief distraction. Seizing the moment, Chappie and Yolandi escape inside the building. The combined assault damages Moose's camera, forcing Vincent to pull the robot away temporarily while he works to fix it. Outside, Dion tries to escape in his van, but is intercepted by Hippo. Ninja rushes to assist, but is unable to prevent Hippo from shooting Dion. In a rage, Ninja grabs a shovel and kills Hippo by striking his head. Meanwhile, Chappie drags Dion into the van to shield him from further harm. As Vincent restores Moose's camera, the robot resumes its relentless pursuit, firing at Chappie and the others. Desperate to save Dion, Chappie attempts to retrieve the helmet, but a stray bullet destroys it. Determined, he decides to head to the factory for another helmet to transfer Dion's consciousness. Ninja urges Chappie to leave with Yolandi in the van while he stays behind to distract Moose. As the van escapes the building, Ninja collapses to his knees, ready to accept his fate. When Moose prepares to end him, Yolandi jumps out of the van armed with the special weapon, shooting at Moose. Vincent quickly reacts, making Moose turn and fire back, killing Yolandi before Chappie can intervene. Heartbroken, Chappie mourns for Yolandi, his mother, before spotting the detonator. Fueled by grief, he activates it, finally destroying Moose in a massive explosion. Determined to end the chaos, Chappie drives to Tetravel with a dying Dion. Upon arriving, he spots Vincent trying to escape. Chappie stops him by throwing a knife into his leg, though Vincent still manages to reach the main office. Inside, chaos erupts as employees panic, and Vincent futilely fires at Chappie, whose robotic body is unaffected. In a brutal retaliation, Chappie hurls Vincent through walls and windows, breaking his arm and tossing him around the office like a rag doll. As Vincent lies barely conscious, Chappie chooses mercy, telling him he's forgiven. With the police surrounding the building and attempting to breach the doors, Chappie rushes Dion to the lab. Using the helmet, Chappie successfully transfers Dion's consciousness into a new robot body, saving his life. Grateful, Dion takes the opportunity to repay Chappie by reactivating all the scouts using Vincent's computer and key. Finally, Dion uploads Chappie's consciousness into a new body via the internet, giving him a second chance at life. As the police break in, Dion runs outside and is overjoyed to see Chappie in his new scout body. The two of them return to the base, where they, along with Ninja, give Yolandi a proper burial. Meanwhile, the news reports that all robot cops have been banned, and humans are being reinstated on the force. Chappie discovers the USB stick containing the helmet test he did on Yolandi. Determined to bring her back, he hacks into the factory machines and instructs them to build a beautiful female robot, preparing to upload Yolandi's consciousness into it. That's the end of the video. Out of all the content available out there and the various options, you gave your valuable time to this channel, for which I'm truly grateful. As you'd agree, producing this kind of content requires a lot of time and effort. So if you enjoyed it, please consider dropping a like, leaving a comment, and subscribing to the channel. It'll only take a second of your time, but will help us immensely and motivate us to create more content like this. Don't forget to click the bell icon to stay updated on our next video. Thank you.